Hey, did you have any indication that Obama had ever visited the Soviet Union?
None, absolutely none. He was basically presented to me as a graduate of Punahou prep school,
Mm-hmm.
and he just looked like a wealthy Hawaiian prince to me. Culturally, mentally, culturally, psychologically, he seemed like he was white. And he was basically just a simple, Occidental college.
Did he have any friends at that time who had been in the Soviet Union?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
And, but one thing I can say is I did not see any evidence that Obama's close friends were African American at the time. When I went to that party in the spring of 1981, I don't remember very many African American students at the party. It was mostly white kids.
So his white half was shining.
Yes, it was mostly white kids. It was Indian kids, Pakistani kids, and I don't really remember more than a handful of African American kids at that party. So I think what Obama's done in his book Dreams of My Father, he published that right when he was starting to run for office in Chicago. I think he tweaked his personal history to make it look like he had a stronger commitment and tie to the African American community than he really did at the time.
Mm-hmm. What was his attitude towards the United States of America?
Well, he basically shared in the attitude I had, which was that since America was run by a corrupt power elite that did not have the best interests of the people at heart, that America was pretty much the enemy, and that we needed, in fact, there was sort of a feeling that the Soviet Union was a better, safer, nicer country than the United States of America.
Really?
Yeah. Now, see, my problem here is I did not remember anything word for word or precise about Obama's affection for the Soviet Union. Here, I'm just sharing that that's how I thought, and I was an excellent example of the standard, normal Marxist socialist thinking active at Occidental at the time.
Mm-hmm. When was the next time you heard of Barry Soetoro? Did you keep track of this guy, or did you just forget about him?
I just forgot about him. Again, this is a funny part of the story, but I didn't think he was especially bright or especially talented.
I don't either.
He was very tall.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed since 1980.
So I really didn't pay much attention to him, and in fact, I knew about Senator Barack Obama in Illinois, but I didn't connect the dots.
You didn't know it was him?
No, I didn't connect the dots, and part of the reason is everyone was saying that he was a Harvard law school guy and that he had gone to Columbia, but then eventually it leaked out that he had been at Occidental College, and that's when I connected the dots and realized that was the same guy that Caroline had introduced me to.
All right, so then suddenly, several years later, he's the leading candidate in the Democratic Party for president. What were you thinking then?
Well, I was thinking, my God, that guy was definitely a Marxist when I knew him. He was a radical Marxist, and I started reading Jerome Corsi's book, and I remember it was helpful for me to hear that Obama had connections to Marxism when he was in Hawaii, because it was very unusual for a sophomore to be as committed to Marxist ideology as young Barack Obama. But I was also curious that there was nobody from the Occidental College era talking about Obama's Marxism, even though, it was just obvious. It was just a normal thing. And then I was startled to see how committed he was still to Marxist thought when he was in Chicago with Bill Ayers and Alice Palmer. And that was in 1995. So it looks to me like his and also he has a strong connection to Reverend Wright, who's a former Muslim by his own admission, and a very strong Marxist. He's part of an advocate of liberation theology.
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Drew, when during the campaign, when a few people managed to get through the news media barrier that was around Obama and actually mention Bill Ayers and some of the other radical communists associated with Obama's past, what were you thinking? I mean, you thinking, hey, this is real. This guy is a communist.
Well, what I did is I sent emails to like Ann Coulter. I was a teaching assistant for Ann Coulter's first American government class at Cornell. I sent Ann Coulter an email best I could. I sent emails to Hannity, to O'Reilly, to the folks at Fox News, and just nothing happened. Absolutely. I was thinking maybe I should drive to Occidental College and do a press conference.
None of these guys, Sean Hannity, none of these people responded to you.
And I was kind of shocked. I even, I basically told them, I can verify that this guy was a Marxist in the fall of 1980, and I didn't exaggerate the story. I just told the truth. And what got frustrating to me is the campaign. Obama towards the end was saying, look, I know people say I'm a Marxist because I shared my toys when I was in kindergarten. And I would be like, talking back to the TV and saying, well, no, I think you're a Marxist because I heard it I heard it from your mouth,
mm-hmm.
In the fall of 1980. And I could not get the story out. And all I'm thinking is I didn't have photos of me there.
Sure.
Maybe it wasn't plausible.
What about his connection to George Soros?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm. Soros is committed to a one world system.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his foundation, of what is it, Open Borders. But Soros is a major funder of Obama's campaign, and some key George Soros people have been placed in very high positions, including at the Pentagon. I'm talking about radical Marxists put in high civilian positions inside the Pentagon. Everything about the guy, everything says the man is a committed Marxist revolutionary.